And now we're live.
Awesome.
Hey, there we are.
There we are. And welcome everyone to episode 31, Three Pagans and a Pig. I'm pretty sure I titled it that. It was either Three Pigs and a Pig or Three Pagans and a Pig Roast, one of those.
Yeah, I think it's 3 pigs and a pig roast, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a pig. It's fine.
So, blessed Llamas, blessed Freyfaxi, blessed Lunasa for those to celebrate.
Indeed. All right, give me one moment. I'll get us started with a prayer. Sounds good.
Go Freyr. We could tag team.
Well, now that you said that, yeah. He's going to tag you in at the end.
Oh, damn, that's good shit.
Hail to Freyr, Lord of the fertile field, good God of the sunshine and gentle rains. Hail to you who brings the harvest. Hail to you at the height of your power here in the world of the living, who lets the sun shine down upon us. Hail to you, God of the harvest and of the sacrifice.
Hail to you, Gerther, goddess of sacrificers. You of the bent scythe, you of the walled garden, you of the permaculture forest, you of the blessed fields, well tilled, well cared for. You, O blessed one, who brings forth the bounty from your husband. You who splits the throat, you who collects the blood, you who blesses vessels and blesses us. Help us to have good, clean hands, good, clean hearts, good, clean minds as we go about our work, as we bring in the harvest. Hail to you, blessed Gertha. Hail to you.
That was way more seamless than I expected it to be. Holy shit.
Was great.
Inspiration. Hello, Rebel Valkyrie.
Hey.
Hello.
So, yeah, I've been really, really curious about how we're going to do this episode because we weren't sure if we were going to do it upstairs with everybody around us, if we were going to do it down here. And then I was like, oh, wait, we have kids? Like, uh-oh, they can't hear us? Crap. Are you serious?
How about now?
Can you hear us?
Gods, I hope that.
Oh, that would suck if that didn't go
Did
through.
we?
Check the audio settings.
Checking audio.
Audio.
No, it's going
we're
through.
good. Yeah, we're transmitting.
Stereo echo cancellation's on. Weird.
I'm not.
I really fucking hope you're the only one having problems with the audio.
Yeah, let me check.
I was about to say, whip out the phone. Time to check. Oh, Robo can hear. All right, we're
I
transmitting.
think it's you.
It is just you.
I
Just you. Sorry.
Oh.
I can't channel poetry like that twice.
Yeah. Two per prayer. Switch in the middle. We were never going to pull that off again.
No, and it was good.
Yeah.
Like, that was clean.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
that
take
was
full
just-
credit for that.
No, absolutely not. That was being fed words and just now, boom, and it just went.
So hopefully, Emily, you figure out the audio issue. Check your audio settings. I don't know.
Yep.
But,
Sorry.
So yeah, originally when we did this episode, we weren't sure if we were going to record upstairs in front of all the people that we brought over, and it's like I think almost 20 people now. It's like some crazy ass number.
Ballparking.
Yeah,
I'm ballparking.
I think it's just shy of 20, but
Just
yeah.
shy of 20, yeah. So, which, you know,
A lot of people.
That's a lot of people. So one of the things that myself and Jason have been doing with our community gatherings is, well, we believe in mutual aid. We believe in community gatherings. Well, let's literally put our money where our mouth is. So Jason and I went in together on a lamb last time we did this and a pig this time. And instead of having it all butchered for us and cut up and doing all that extra expense, nice, glad you fixed it. just really quick.
Yeah.
Yay!
Nice.
So in the spirit of reciprocity with our community and with each other,
Mhm.
Jason and I went in together and bought a pig for our gathering. And as with the lamb that we bought last time, we have already parted it out because the butchery on this was just amazing.
45 minutes on a 71-pound pig.
Which is
Did that with no power tools.
No
Just-
power tools, no nothing, just
two people working at it.
a cleaver.
Yep. Yeah, just a cleaver, a saw,
knife.
a saw. And that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she fell apart on us. Just great animal.
She wanted to be here.
She wanted to be here. She was, yeah. I mean, honestly, and I mean, I can say just having a little bit of her.
oh yeah, no, phenomenal.
Just
Absolutely
delicious.
Sorry for our vegetarian and vegan viewers, but
yeah, sorry.
I mean, the pig was procured with reciprocity in mind,
Mhm.
and we're using all of the parts.
Yes.
The organ meat is either going to be given to people in the community or it's going to be directly offered to the gods. We're
Mhm.
still going back and forth on that. I think we'll do divination on that.
Yeah, we'll do different. When it comes to especially to organ meat, we tend to do divination on that, depending on who wants it.
Because I mean, when it comes to Hellenic gods, that's a lot more cut and dry. With
Yeah.
the Norse gods, sometimes they want a chunk of the action,
Yeah,
which we've already given them. Like they were the first ones to eat. Like that was something I made.
Yeah. No, that
Mhm.
serving them first. Now, Hellenic gods is well. When we get the fire going later on, I'll be doing a nice little wrap up. Got plenty of skin for
Yeah.
that.
So, 3 pagans and a pig roast.
Yeah.
And,
Three pagans.
Three pagans.
Big roast.
and so one of the things that I'm very excited that we tried this time was we actually roast the what was a whole leg.
Mhm.
The whole leg we did up on the charcoal grill, and hi Mokor. And no, the one that I'm excited about was the wrapped
Yeah,
leg
it
under
was
the
done
ashes.
like a barbacoa.
Yeah, and let me tell you,
Oh, it's
it's awesome. It's just awesome.
phenomenal.
So yeah, we're trying out. The thing about this too is like it's not just a time for us to get together. It's a time for us to try new things because
Mhm.
like this is my first actual pig that I've butchered. Although with the way we did things tonight, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, really.
Like not to toot my own horn, but I think we did an awesome job on it.
It was 45 minutes.
I know.
It's all good.
I'm still shocked.
It was awesome.
And the cool thing is like it's not just that we have a pig roast; it's that we also are able to share with our communities. I've got the spine cut into pieces so people can use that for stews and various things.
Mhm.
We've got,
The neck meat all part.
I think it's like 3 out of the 4 legs are going to somebody,
Mhm.
to different households. Chelsea said we're having
Yeah,
a partner party.
Oh,
The three
there
of
it
us
is.
just- all hellos.
Hello.
Hi, we're partners.
Wow.
Like honestly, without my partners, this would not be happening.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, they really came. All of them really came in the clutch. Like, thank you all. Like, this would not be happening without
absolutely.
you. And then Kat.
Cat Blackwell says, "Shh, we've totally been here the whole time, Melkor."
It's fine.
Something in 5 minutes late. It's fine. And then Josie.
Sorry.
Like, no, crash. No.
No. That's just Sarth playing with the mouse.
Okay.
It's all good.
Yep.
Oh, but yeah.
Anyway, now is the other time for me to poke you to talk some more because you've been talking a lot. So, our initiated
George and Wiccan.
George and Wiccan. Tell me about.
Bread festival.
Yeah, tell me about Lemons.
All right. So you want me to talk about it from the Wiccan perspective? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, also the Catholic, because you also do the Catholic thing in Lammas.
So Lammas is loaf mass. That's what it translates to, and it is a harvest festival, straight up. For the Wiccan Wheel of the Year, this is like the first like really big post Ostara harvest festival. Like, this is the first fruits kind of celebration. So this is you bringing in the wheat. This is you bringing in a lot of apples are in complete, utter dropping off the tree ripeness right now. So at least for our area, like a lot of this is kind of dependent on where you live. So like celebrating Lammas might shift here and there. if you're more of a Reconstructionist or just a straight up polytheist bend who's not looking at the Gregorian calendar as the arbiter of when you do your holidays. If you're more oriented towards your local climates, your Lammas is going to shift around a little bit depending on when the actual harvest is, because Kel Surprise, it wasn't like at a set time of year until the Gregorian calendar and that kind of thing really set in. As a Wiccan, it was mostly just celebrating first fruits, the first harvests, especially the bread and the corn god, the corn king, and his being sacrificed and his blood spilling out upon the ground. And we have a very similar, with respect to Freyr, that's a very similar thing as a heathen that I identify with Freyr as the corn king, John Barleycorn.
No. Although, at least for myself, that for me does not happen until the dark part of the year starts. Around the time most people celebrate Samhain, although I still working out exact dates, at least for my personal practice, but it's generally based off of the sun, so it'll be around the equinox. Is one that is for me. And
there's a couple of different holidays that are celebrated today. Like there's also Lunasa, which is commonly celebrated around this time of year, or yesterday, depending. I don't celebrate Lunasa because I'm not a Celtic recon and I'm not a Celtic polytheist in general. It's a great holiday, don't get me wrong, and all honor to Tailty, but it's just not my holiday. So for the most part, I celebrate a very heathen Lammas or Freyfaxi. So yeah, what about y'all?
Well, really, this is also my first Lammas.
Well, congratulations.
So yeah, which gotta say, so far enjoying it.
Awesome.
And yeah, I really didn't know much about this, honestly. I knew of Lunasta, but very much so. This is definitely different. When I was like trying to do like some background research, like, oh, this for Lammas, and I'm like, yeah, sure, and that sounds great, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. But looking it up, and I was very surprised to see that this is an old holiday,
Very old.
like this is
The pedigree of this holiday is literally ancient.
Yeah, this has been going on for
a while.
a while. Was there established civilization? Neat. Were they making something close to bread? Yes, they probably had this.
something
Similar. I mean, obviously, depending on where you are
in the world.
Yeah, in the world geographically.
Because Jason hasn't been on for a while, and we forgot to introduce our guest.
Hi.
This is Jason, who joined us before on the episode about luck. Yeah, Jason, chaos magician, and bending towards Hellenic polytheist.
For a little past bending.
I didn't want to speak for you.
No, I appreciate it. Yes, hello again. I am Jason Davis, and yeah, as Malika has kindly pointed out, yes, I am a chaos magician by training and by learning. However, within the last few months, I have really started dipping my entire body into Bacchic Orphism and the worship of Dionysos.
Dionysos.
Hail Dionysos. Yeah, it's funny you're talking about, the corn god, their blood spilling all over the ground. I'm like, I know that from a different context.
No, that's actually a really good point, because we actually found out that we have a ton of grapes growing on the fence.
Oh, nice.
I'll have to show you them. They're green grapes, which is a rarity in Michigan. Grapes usually don't grow very well here at all. So I can't wait to.
I know someone else who has wild grapes growing for no reason in their backyard. It's fine.
I mean,
hey, you know.
It is what it is. And I mean, wine in general, obviously with the whole Dionysian context, but really it's been, I've been learning, my main practice has been learning the Toys of Dionysus and Death of Zagreus and things of that nature. And let me tell you, it's something.
Them initiatory mysteries, they
nothing
What the
like.
fuck did you give me?
That is a mango habanero beer.
No.
You liked it like not even 5 minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
You're like, that's fantastic. It's fine. I'll drink.
You know what? No, it's cool.
All right.
You know what? It's probably hearing habanero and anticipating what my response should be instead of what it is.
You know, fair.
They could be poison moonberries for all I know. Hey,
Yep. It's just a mental thing.
Kind of. You have a sensitive mouth. Oh, yeah.
Here,
Oh,
Kick the sensitivity down.
no, that's all good.
Second to last and last.
Second to last.
Not sure if they're
Grapes
grapes yet. Could be poison moonberries for all I know. I mean, it could be, but
The heat is actually starting to kick on and actually sneak up on me. So no, I'm not that huge a fan, but it's okay.
I wasn't sure if you were going to like it or not. But I told you had to try it, so
Yeah.
that's fine. I'll drink it.
I'll be right back. I'm actually going to go get my own because I have beer.
All right.
While he's gone, chaos ensues because
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's go.
Yeah.
For those of you who was like, Jason, why aren't you trying that? I am allergic to hops. That would hurt me in multiple ways.
Yeah, no, I do not want you to give yourself an anaphylactic reaction.
Yeah,
that would be bad.
yeah, that'd be. I mean, it'd be a show for some.
Show of us calling 911.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, I've been drinking. I don't want to have to drive you to the hospital.
Exactly. Yeah, so I am drinking actually a local cider mill, Blake's. Blake's. Have you been to Blake's yet?
I have not been to Blake's yet.
Oh, fantastic cider mill. It's later on in the year.
We'll go.
We'll drag you up there. But I am drinking their peach party, which is peach and blackberry cider, and it is delicious because it is not too sweet.
Very nice. Good.
The blackberry is pretty prominent, and it definitely helps. Because I was a little bit worried. It's like peach can very good, very, very sweet, and most of the time in my ciders, I like them dry. I like most things dry. I'm like a Shiraz fan when it comes to wine, so I'm just
makes sense.
I like deserts
Which
in my
KBS
mouth.
is that?
I don't know.
The standard?
Original.
Yep, the original. Original KBS. It's pretty good, and it's at cellar time, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
For those wondering, this is Mango Magnifico by Founders, the same company that does KBS. This is part of their Bottle Shop series.
I'm trying.
Kind of
Let me
a.
just talk about. I'm allergic to hops.
Yep, he's super allergic.
Yeah,
Yep.
don't give me
So
that.
no.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I will absolutely drink.
Yeah, no, hops and I, real bad. Don't do.
No, that's good. That's phenomenal.
Mhm. That I can't have.
This is my own personal brew. This was made in 2017. This is a Goodrich Honey K1V11116 is the strain I worked with on this.
Which, for those who don't homebrew, K1V is a wine yeast really favored by a lot of mead makers. It's a really kind of fascinating. I'll tell you after I drink this.
Those of you wondering, incredibly smooth. Not overpowering sweet. Very, very nicely balanced. Oh, is it chicken time? Yeah, it's chicken time.
Chicken says hi.
Chicken
That
time.
is phenomenal. That is really good. I'm very happy with that.
Like, the definite alcohol taste is there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not overpowering whatsoever.
Yeah, it's balanced really well by the honey.
Mhm.
So K1V is, I call it the ultimate workhorse yeast. I'm just gonna rant, y'all. Just
You're
gonna
good.
deal with
Go
it.
nuts.
So yeast have a couple of different things that you've got to look out for. Chicken.
Yes.
I'm sure Spider Moose says hi. That's a joke we'll explain in a minute. So yeast have a couple of different things that you got to watch out for. Nutrients requirements. K1V has relatively low nutrient requirements, not bottom of the barrel, but relatively low. Heat tolerance or heat range. K1V has one of the broadest heat ranges for functionality of any yeast I've ever seen. If I'm remembering correctly, from nearly lagering temperatures up into like 80 Fahrenheit.
Like I literally brewed that by turning my tap water onto hot and shaking the shit out of it.
Yeah, no, that tracks.
Like,
K1V's
it's
got a
very
huge,
forgiving.
It's got a huge temp range, and it does change its flavors across that range a little bit. But
QA23 is really forgiving as well in that regard because
Yeah.
like the Lalvin lines I use they tend to be either champagne or dessert wine yeasts.
and those tend to be
And
fairly
those-
forgiving for heat range.
Mhm.
The other two neat things about K1V is one, it's got a really, really high alcohol tolerance. On the package, it says it maxes out at 16. It's
Nah.
Why?
It's a lot.
Bullshit.
It is really not unheard of for homebrewers, especially if you're careful, to get up to 20%. And if you're real careful, even higher.
I've gotten it higher.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was that batch.
Probably. The other cool thing is yeast has a gene set called the killer gene, and there's killer positive, killer neutral, and killer negative. Hey, it has been a minute.
It has.
So K1V is killer positive, which means it's got this gene that it produces a toxin that kills off other yeast and other microbes. It's completely harmless, completely tasteless to humans. You can't tell it's there. But
absolutely.
It kills a bunch of other yeast, including wild yeast, which makes it very forgiving. You're going to get a lot less off flavors from other fermenters in there because it's going to kill all of them. Killer neutral yeast will usually be killed off by killer positive, but aren't always. And then killer negative yeast are always killed off by killer positive yeast.
So what I'm hearing is one of these is Hitman 47.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And K1V is killer positive, has a really high alcohol tolerance, so it'll eat just everything you give it. Which actually does make it a little dangerous because if you don't finish it fermenting out, you'll make bottle bombs. But as long as you account for that,
this is true. I did it.
Be fucking careful.
Bubblers.
So the thing is, the first time I did this strain, the very first time, I left the cap on after I shook the shit out of it for a whole day instead of taking the cap off and throwing on
throwing on a airlock.
Airlock, that's the word. So instead of throwing on the airlock, that fucker turned into a grenade. It was a gallon worth.
Oh,
I was happy it was just a gallon because if it had been 5, it would have been fucked.
Yeah.
Because as it was, it made a.
Did it hit the ceiling?
It did not, and that's because I had wrapped it in a towel.
Okay, that's
I had wrapped it completely in a towel because I'd heard something about wrapping a towel, keeping out of the sunlight. Because at the time I was brewing upstairs in my room, I went, and all of the towel contained the grenade.
Oh, so it actually blew up.
It blew the fuck up. Except for the bottom. The bottom was intact, but everything else blew up.
Oh,
it actually produced like crazy. It went nuts.
See, I was thinking because a lot of times in those situations, the cap will blow first, and it'll geyser up and it'll hit the ceiling.
No.
I've heard of people actually, even if they put an airlock on, and I've seen pictures of this online. People, especially if you're putting fruit in your ferment, especially in your primary, it'll clog the airlock, turn it into.
For those who don't know, primary is your first ferment.
Yep.
That is, it's the first round before you do what's called racking, and that's taking your mead liquid and leaving the sediment behind and putting it into a new sterile container.
Yep. Thank you for explaining that because I was going to forget.
Dorks, damn right.
Hey,
love you too, Shan.
Hi, Shan.
Yeah, I've heard of people actually getting fruit clogged in their airlock and it creating a bottle bomb and it blowing the cap off.
Jesus.
And their airlock's getting stuck in ceilings.
Oh, wow.
Wedging itself into drywall because there's that much pressure. I've seen pictures of this online. This is a thing that happens.
It does, but like as long as you take care, generally speaking, unless you fuck someone up royal.
Yeah. That's actually why a lot of places a lot of people will suggest for the first 3 days, leave your airlock without any water in it.
Yep.
Because then the air will just move as fast as it needs to.
I've never had that problem, but I'm also like not a professional. Like
I've had that problem. I haven't had it blow up on me, but I've had it get pretty close. Yeah.
Sham.
I mean, my
Sham.
I need a drink.
Hey.
yes.
Anyway. So
yeah.
The thing with a lot of these things, I know, real fucking eloquent. I think the real takeaway is not only that everybody's process is different, but like there are certain things that if you don't do them right, you will potentially wreck all your progress up to the point that you've been working on. And I think this is also true with regards to things like the harvest and our harvest festivals in general. Like, just the teamwork and the listening to each other. Just like you have to listen to your mead, just like you have to listen to the beer when you brew it. you got to listen to the partners that you're working with. You've got to listen to the people in your life, the people that are gathering in your community. Sometimes you've got to hand the cleaver over as Marcus. We had a couple of times where it was like, nah, I'm just going to hold this while you cut, and I'm just going to trust you know what you're doing.
Yep.
And then there were other times where it's like, I've hit my wall. Here you go.
Yep.
Take it.
Yep. Take it. Why? Because that was hard. You're trying to do it on your side.
I mean, this shows up in brewing. This shows up in life. This shows up in communities in general. Like sometimes you just got to hand the cleaver over. You got to hand the racking over or whatever. Whatever analogy you want to use. Like the process of being in community is really, especially with tag team work like this, like the poetry we did earlier. The butchering, the brewing process, all of it, like there's general steps that you need to do, but there's still plenty of places where each person can add their own flair, each person can bring their experiences, each person can shine without the project going completely off the rails.
Yeah. And it's about listening and being in relationship. That's really what it's about.
And it's about actually taking the advice of what's being given.
Yeah.
Right. So like we came to a problem when we were hitting, I think it was the shoulder.
Yeah.
We were trying to pop the shoulder out of one of the joints that we were working on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, the one that ended up in the actual fire pit. The barbacoa style.
Yes, yeah, the barbacoa style. Yes, this is the one that ended up in there.
So I was having an issue getting to the joint to get it separated from the rest of the meat because I wasn't understanding what Jason was telling me. I literally had to have him physically take my hand and show me what he was talking about by making me experience what he was talking about.
Right. And I want to say, this wasn't like why are you taking control of this? It was, I'm saying something, but it's hard to articulate, because it's really hard to articulate, because particularly when we were working with the shoulder joint, particularly with pig, it kind of does like a half moon cap on it.
Yeah, so like if you imagine like you've got extra bone up here.
Yeah.
Like if you got like a firm cap right here and you're trying to cut along that, and I wasn't understanding how to make that cut.
Right, and it was just because it's really the cut.
Because I'm sitting here on the hit, I know I'm hitting the fucking bone.
Yeah, you're hitting the bone. You're right, and you are right on the joint because you're moving it back and forth. You're like,
this should work.
This should work. Why isn't it going? And it's just you go and you kind of like, whoop, and when you come back up on that, it just pops right out.
Yep.
And I should clarify, my family has been butchers for 3 generations, so I have been exposed. That being said, I don't think we got that done in 45 minutes. I am shocked. And as you said, like with the spine, when we were taking the ribs off, it's just like, well, how do we want to do this? Do we want to sit there with the saw, try to do this while it's laying on a table? So it's just like, hey, pull this up and go. What did you just say? Jesus Christ. Jason, I have to grab your hands so you experience boning. Absolutely.
You're looking a little red there, sir.
Fuck off.
No, I think it's fuck on, actually.
I mean,
I hate.
OnlyFans later.
Yeah.
At least one OnlyFans moment. We're not
saying nothing. I mean, we already had one with Shannon, so we just got to keep this ball rolling.
Absolutely.
Speaking of joints and rolling, that was the other thing too. Like you had to show me, like taking it from a different angle, and then the way that the shoulder separated.
Yeah.
You actually, the thing that really got me was like you not like literally took my hand and were like, this is the joint you're looking for, and this is how you get to it. Because I had to literally feel how the muscles were connecting to each other to make the connection in my head.
Yeah.
Because you can't explain, like, for me, oh no. We have refrained so much this episode, I don't even know. Stop refraining, because it's just, it's content.
It's fine. Yeah.
This is already an explicit show. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm confident. You're confident. They're confident. I think we're good.
We're good.
Shit.
And this is how you know Shan's full of shit. See, I'm the normal one, lol.
Shan, you keep lying, and we're just gonna bring you on the show again.
I was about to say that's how you end up on the show.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've got nothing to share. Or shit, you don't. So, like, that's the thing. Like, so it's one of the things that I really appreciate about like both of you in those different fields. Like, you've done butchering, you've done brewing. I am definitely the novice in both of these arenas, but I get to learn so much by just literally, like, sometimes it's literally just listening to you, but sometimes it's just, okay, do this, do this, do this, and see what happens. And both of you having patience enough to step back and let me stumble through it. And that's hard. That's not easy, because you could have just been like, okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, I know. You're like,
I
you
saw that look in
handed
your-
me you handed me to do the other one. I'm just like, and okay, it's up.
like, I can see it in your face, like, nah, dude, no, just move. Jesus. I know, because I've done this with other people and having to work on computers. Oh no.
Shan, you need Jason to take your hand so you can experience things too. I think he does. I think Shan does. I think we need to actually have both of you on the
That
show.
would be
Oh,
fabulous.
absolutely.
That would be
It's going to be
fabulous.
wonderful. Shan, you just signed yourself up for this.
Yep.
And it's fun because Emily will make you.
Mhm.
Yep. Oh, we'll get the cracking out.
Roll for
It'll be
initiative.
fun.
These are the wrong dice.
Oh no! Oh no! I know what you're referring
Sexy
to.
dice.
Oh
That's for the OnlyFans.
That's for the only
OnlyFans.
fans.
Anyway.
So I think, like, bring it back to Three Pagans and a Pig. The thing was, one of the things that really spoke to me about community is like being able to just tag on, like, hey, so I haven't been able to shop the last couple of days. I got to go get a bunch of stuff for the party.
Hmm.
The fire's lit. Can you throw the pig on? Can you prep the pig? Can you do that? And I could just,
Yeah, and then you got back. Basically, you got back from your one errand. I'm like, hey, I gotta go get my fiance. I gotta
Yep.
go. Like, I gotta
We-
go.
It was a seamless tag in, tag
Mhm.
out. And you and I have done that in a racial atmosphere
Mhm.
a lot of times.
Yeah.
And like, when you get to that point with people, it is really a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think that it's also really a beautiful thing when you get to that point with the gods where it's not really a question of, am I hearing them, experiencing them, da 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 da. It's just, do I have capacity to do this right now?
Mhm.
It's not really so much that you're questioning at that point whether or not you hear the gods. It's more like, do I really have the energy for this bullshit?
That's the thing. And sometimes it's you power through because that's what you do, and sometimes it's you tell them to fuck off. It's fine. Reach out and touch faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shannon, it'll be all right.
That's okay.
We've been meaning to have you back on anyway.
Mhm. It's okay because we believe in aftercare.
We do, and like the prayer at the start of the episode was kind of the perfect example. It's very much like, I had no fucking idea what you were gonna say.
I had no idea what I was going to say.
I needed to end with sacrifice. That's the thing that I needed to end on. It flowed seamlessly. I was like, all right, I'm done.
Which is also why we all panicked when Emily couldn't hear the audio.
Yeah,
I was like, no,
It's like, no.
we can't get that magic back.
Because it was one beat. It was, you finished, beat. The singer started going.
And it was literally like I could feel the words that I couldn't hear, and they went along my arm into Sarenth, and then he started speaking, and I was like, well, I didn't expect it to work so well. Okay.
And I mean, like, this when you get into communities, and I'm not just talking ritually speaking, but sometimes, like, you'll see this with people who are experienced at like a craft or a trade, where they've been apprenticing under somebody for 5 years or 10 years, and it's just, they don't even speak anymore. It's just hand the tool off, do the thing. Okay, hand the tool back, do the thing. It's flow state.
Mm-hmm.
I think after a certain point, like, you get within communities, this certain point where you all relatively hit a kind of a flow state together. And I think a lot of where we trip up as communities is figuring out, how do I get to that flow state where this is actually my niche, as opposed to I'm figuring out my niche.
Yeah. A lot of it I find comes down to the duality of training and trust. Because I've, over the course of my career, I've trained a number of people on how to do a number of things, and one of my proudest moments was when I was in the brewery and I had brought on a new cellarman. I was the main brewer at the time, not the head brewer. That's a different thing. But I was the main brewer at the time, and I brought on a cellarman, and I trained him up from scratch. He was a physicist and a metallurgist. He didn't know shit. He's a good guy. He's
That
a
is
friend
a
of mine.
fun individual.
Yeah, no, he's health physicist, so radiation physicist by degree, who went into metallurgy at a local mine because that was what job was available. And then brought him into the brewery. He started as a cellarman and screaming child. It's fine.
Yeah, go
do your thing. So trained him up, and a few months in, maybe 6 months in, there was a day where we spoke maybe 15 words to each other through a brew day.
Oh, nice.
And a brew day is 9 hours, or at least it was with our setup. So 9 hours, and we spoke maybe 15 words to each other. And it went flawlessly. Like, it was just...
Right, but you were jiving.
Yeah, we were just jiving.
You were jiving, you were in the flow.
Yeah. And the way that the nature of brewing is that you have some downtime, and, like, downtime hit, and we both just looked at each other and pulled out our phones and fucked around for half an hour, and then we got up and did our thing, and we didn't even have to, like, check timers or anything. We just knew. Mm-hmm. And it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and also, like, and then that was flow state nonverbal. Flow state verbal, for example, actually, when Sarah and I were taking care of the pig, and, you know, at one point in time, I'm holding up by the spine the pig, and Sarah, you know, went down one side of the ribs, and it was nice, easy when like, okay, do you want to do the other side? And I'm like, absolutely not. You have, I've got a good grip on this. You've got the arm strength to just go down with the cleaver pretty much the entire way. I'm not moving. Just do the other side. Let's go.
Yep.
And I think that's a really big thing, like with a community aspect of thing. I mean, you and I work together, mm-hmm. and half the time we're just sitting there quiet. Hey, did you see this? Yeah, I saw that. Okay. And it was like, okay, we're done.
Yep. Like, and then back to working on individual projects.
Exactly. And I think that's something that, while that takes time to develop, is something worth developing. And really a lot of it comes down to also just knowing what you can and can't do. Mm-hmm. Like, Sarah had more arm strength than me. So I'm like, yeah, you're going through the ribs with the cleaver. Go. Keep going. I know my strength, and I saw how you went through that. So I kind of have an idea of how your strength is. Just go. Mm-hmm. And and then, as Sarah said before, having that trust to be able to be like, just go.
Yep. Or like another example at work. So Jason and I are both working in the same laboratory at the time, or right now. And we have very different roles. We're working in the same department. We have very different roles. Jason is the politician, and I'm the attack dog. And it works wonderfully because it's very much good cop, bad cop. It's,
absolutely.
You're going to talk to Jason first. And it's going to go great until you cross that line. And then it's all right.
Yep.
All right. Now Malik's coming out.
Now Malik's is coming out. I gave you the option. We walked you through it. I can do training for days. Everyone's nice, rosy, happy. Hey, things are getting done. I'm going to ask you once to please do this. You're not going to do it? Okay. Malik.
All right. You're going to fucking get it done.
Yeah. You knew it was going to happen. It happens every time.
Happens every time.
And that's another thing. Coming up with a routine, I think, is a big thing also. And that's very important, I think, to develop after, especially if you are with someone for so long, mm-hmm. is that you eventually develop, and again, with the community thing, you know in a sense, like, you know your role, but like, and it's okay it's mm-hmm. definitely okay to try new things all the time. It's great. But there's also like, I'm good at this. I am going to do this. If you want to do this, absolutely be my guest. But if we're going on pure default, yeah, let me do this. I'll go do it. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think that's a really important thing. And it develops non-verbally. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't talk about this will be your role, this will be your role, this will be your role. It is, hey, I've kind of noticed this over like the last 4 months. Like,
yeah. And I think that's where like real expertise, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's really expert. That's really like you developing a sense of your own expertise, but it's also a sense of shared expertise because I know enough when to hand the knife over. Mm-hmm. I know enough when to say, hey, does this brew look all right to you? I know enough to say I'm out of my depth.
That too, yeah.
And in a community sense, there's also, what did Milkor say?
You are morally required to call this pack dynamics.
You're I mean, you're not wrong.
No. I mean, honestly, like that's how the pack operates. Like, mm-hmm. I am weak today. I'm going to be sitting in the back. Malik lead the pack. I ain't got the spoons for it.
And people play different roles. Like, you know, bringing this back to the pagan side of things, like, I'm not going to use Santonai as an example because we actually fill most of the same role a lot of times. Like we're fairly similar as far as ritually speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But like Jason and I have
very wildly different roles.
Wildly different roles. Like
I think to a certain degree, it's because we've had to pinch hit so many different situations where we're malleable, but actual expertise that will differ person to person.
Oh, for sure.
But I think that a lot of spirit workers start as general experts, maybe in one or two fields, but they start really branching out pretty quick because of requirements of the community. And I mean, this really comes down to like, who's in the area? Who can do X, Y, or Z? Am I the only person that's available to do X, Y, or Z? And that's one of the things that's really nice about having a broad basis of training and understanding, is that if I don't feel like I can be the ritual leader for this ritual or that, I can go, somebody else figure this shit out, and I'll just be participating. And I mean, that's really the power of community in the pagan community, is that I don't have to be the fucking expert at everything. I think this is where a lot of TikTok drama, Twitter drama, Tumblr drama, etc., really trips itself up. That's why a lot of this happens, is people are trying to be every little fucking thing.
Yeah.
And there's no need for it. There's literally no need.
And on that note, like a lot of the drama that I see on social media comes down to people trying to be experts in things that they have no business even having their fingers in. And it's like, dude, you don't need that. There is a wealth, there is a depth in your own backyard. Why are you putting your fingers in somebody else's pie? That's completely unnecessary. Like, just be satisfied with what you've got and realize that there's a depth there. Like, you can look at other things. For example, I pull a lot from, how to phrase this properly without sounding like a complete asshole.
You pull a lot of inspiration.
I pull a lot of inspiration from Mongolian practices. From what I've read from Sarangarel's books and some other sources online. And keep in mind, I'm looking at shamanic, as in genuinely shamanic, where the word shaman comes from, which is Mongolia. Shamanic practices. I'm not a shaman. I'm not claiming to be a shaman. That is not what I'm saying. But rather, I look at what they are doing, and the gods and spirits that I'm talking to are like, hey, this is kind of like that. It's not that. And in fact, as soon as you figure out what the hell is going on, you're going to realize how wildly different they are. But this is a good intro.
Right.
And that's, like, you can look at other things and say, how are they doing that and why?
Well, this is where cultural exchange versus cultural appropriation really comes in. Right?
Exactly.
So, like, this is where cultural appreciation, cultural understanding, cultural cross currents of knowledge really do matter. And so long as I am not saying I have made an Ungorod, for instance, when I'm talking about a Vey.
Yeah.
I'm using specific terminology here for a reason. Ungorods are spirit homes in Mongolian religious practice, not only just shamanism, but in general. But a Vey is an outdoor heathen shrine of some description. And while they are not one-to-one, because the methods for producing them are different, and so a lot of the details are different, they are comparable. And there is nothing wrong with saying these things are alike. What's wrong is saying a Vey is an Ongorod and Ongorod is a Vey.
Yeah.
What's wrong is saying that my spirit work is just like shamanism.
And they're not.
They're not.
Like,
a lot of the features of traditional Mongolian shamanism do not figure in my spirit work whatsoever.
Yeah. Kind of the prime example from my mind is Sky, the pack spirit, showed himself to me first. Not showed himself to me first. That's not wrong. Explained who he was to me first. Alike, but not the same.
Alike, but not the same. Yes.
Exactly. Sky explained himself to me first through the Mongolian Tengur, who is the Mongolian sky god. He is Father Sky. And they're similar deities, but they're not the same.
I think this is something that a lot of folks get tripped up on when they compare different cultures' gods. Well, they'll say stuff like, "Oh, Thunor is a Jupiter." No, they're alike. They're not the same. Interpretatio Romana is a whole thing unto itself, but that's culturally speaking from a Roman polytheist perspective. And it's fine insofar as this is how they interpret other gods. What's not fine is saying the ultimate reality is that Thor is Jupiter. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Well,
and even the Roman Interpretatio Romana didn't say that anyway.
No, it didn't at all.
But people like to take it out of context. Is kind of my point.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And I honestly think it's a very good thing that you can look at something and be like, I understand this, not quite the same. I don't think there's anything wrong with that perspective. And if anything, that's great because people developed all over the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And these practices developed all over the globe. And it's great to see that that there are things that make you go like, that's different, but I understand it. That's different, and I understand.
So coming back to like three pagans and a pig roast, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the role of the pig in heathen religion, right? So you've got Golan Combi, or sorry, excuse me, Golan Bursty rather,
mm-hmm.
golden, whiskered, golden
bristle.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then you've got Hlithvini, which is the sow of Freya.
Oh.
Both are boars. And what you've got between these two is a powerful dynamic. One of Freya's by names is Syr, S-Y-R, which is a Y with a little acute mark on it, which means sow.
Oh,
One of Freya's heti is sow, literally pig, female pig. So now, when you think of the cultural cachet that we as modern Americans have around pigs, that's not a very pleasant view. But take it back to the heathen perspective of what a pig meant. Pigs meant that you could feed your family. They meant that you had good farmland and meat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
pigs were a sign of wealth and fertility.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a sign of land.
Exactly.
Like,
So, putting it in the context of that's a really good point. The role of the pig is to experience. That is actually like really fucking true. Like, you put food in front of a pig, it's going to do one fucking thing. It's going to eat the shit out of it, which is why you got to control their fucking diet because they will eat themselves to death.
They will also eat literally.
It's a problem with pigs. Like, you got to watch them.
Yep.
But this is also like when you do control their diet and you give them stuff that's really fucking good for them, you get like specialty breeds, like the Tamsworth. From England, and I can't recall what the fucking French one is, where they only eat acorns.
Oh, that one.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I won't remember the name because it is in French, and I am horrible at remembering French words.
It's okay. I'd fucking butcher it anyway. But the point being is like, even like taking it back to just like literally a pig roast idea. Taking back to the idea of a pig roast, like, what does this pig roast represent to our community? It's a gathering point. It's a point of connection. It's a point of sharing. It is living Gabo. And I think that really, at the end of the day, is...
Sorry, as an aside.
Go ahead.
I just remembered the warning signs for boar back on the island. They're like, tanks, don't get in their way.
Fucking A, right.
Also, domestic pigs. Be wary of domestic pigs.
They'll fucking eat you.
They will eat you.
Yeah, will fucking eat you.
If you take a nap in the wrong place, you're going to get bit.
If not eaten.
If not eaten.
Like, there have been people who were drunk off their ass and have gotten eaten by their own pigs.
Yep. Wild boar and domesticated pigs.
Just don't fuck with them.
They just don't.
Yeah.
One of the
sorry.
Before I forget, sorry, I'm actually starting to feel myself right now. One of the arrangements of Viking combat formations was known as the Svindliki.
Yeah.
Which basically you arranged yourself into what amounted to a flying V, and you smash through the enemy because nothing is stopping a fucking boar.
Yep. It's related to, or at least theoretically related to, both Ulfhethnar and Berserkers.
Right.
So there's
wolf and bear shirts.
Yeah. So the working theory, at least as I've heard it, you might actually have more information on this, is that there was over time and in different areas, 3 potentially classes of specialty warriors.
Yep.
There was the Boer warriors, who were more of a formation, kind of a heavy infantry,
Shock troops.
shock troops type deal. In formation, there was the berserkers, the bear shirts,
Tanks.
Yeah, and then the Ulfhethnar, the wolf shirts.
Tactics.
Yeah. We're not actually sure exactly what the rules of the Berserker or the Ulfhethnar were.
The important thing to note here is that a lot of this shit's conjecture.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything that somebody said, oh, Svinvilki was definitely this, Ulfhethnar were definitely this, Berserker were definitely this, are full of fucking shit. We're conjecturing.
Yeah.
On a very limited data set.
In no small part because they were also mythologized during their own time.
That's exactly right. That's the thing to really remember. Like, these people looked at Ulfhethnar, Berserkers, and Svinvilki as living fucking legends.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have some folks who are looking at them through the lens of, oh, this is the Lord's champion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like God's champion, like certainly no. I mean like literally the Lord of the dude who owned the land you were living on. This is like the guy who you send to take care of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But like the thing to like really remember with a lot of these Heti, by names, etc., is generally speaking, these weren't insults. These are clues. These are keys.
Yeah.
They were saying something specific about a god that is supposed to poetically link them to a concept or to a culture idea that Heti, by and large, are noted by Snorri. So what he's trying to do is carry over the culture that his own grandfather would have passed on to him. So it didn't die.
Yeah.
So while Snorri is a Christian and has a lot of hang-ups and definitely is coming from more of a classicist point of view, and so we have to take him with some salt, sometimes an entire fucking mine worth. What he's trying to do is save his culture.
Yeah. He was also, to be completely honest, he was also trying to create a narrative that united Iceland and the mainland of the Norse countries to help with combining the two politically. Snorri's motivations are complicated and manifold, and also if I could go back in time and strangle him, I would.
Legit.
That's beside the point.
I mean, he was a chieftain and a lawyer. He had vested interests.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, the other thing to really keep in mind.
Malik, are you drunk, asleep, or trancing out?
Yes.
We're going to answer that question later. It's fine.
Right. So, I mean, coming back to the idea of the pig roast, though, as a unifying concept, as a community building concept, like this is what things were like. The proto culture of a thing is based around not necessarily a pig roast, but just any gathering where you bring a shitload of people together and go, hey, let's figure something out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Actually, on that note,
I mean, oikos as well.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from a Hellenic perspective.
I was going to say, from a Hellenic perspective, I feel like there are associations with Dionysus and pigs, but I don't know what they are.
It feels right, but I don't remember.
Well, I mean, there's always the Struggle, also known as the Knucklebone dice, which are very, very involved.
Knucklebone dice being one of the toys of Dionysus.
And also just having a lot of implications about actually Hellenic culture and also community building.
Hellenic culture, divination, decision making.
It was very, very big, as well as the fact that also just straight up gambling.
Right. That's the thing, though. Like, okay, so one of the things that Hellenic culture and German culture shared, I mean, German culture, I mean, the wide swath of fucking Scandinavian, German,
Germanic languages.
Yeah. Okay.
North of Mediterranean.
Yeah.
That. So, like, one of the things that they shared is it divination or is it dice rolling for gambling?
Yes.
Good fucking question.
Because blurry lines, depending on
right.
And that's actually not just common to those. That's also common to Kemetic culture. I believe Chinese going back a ways.
That sounds correct.
Like
yes, different animals, but yes.
Yeah, like it's different. But the line between
exactly
plastrons. Plastrons.
Yeah, the difference between we're gambling, we're playing games of chance, and we're divining the future. Man, that's a thin fucking line.
What was that cat said?
Demeter and Boar. Demeter, yes, Demeter has because Demeter's Boar, Hestia's the donkey. Great
You don't
story.
have to kill it.
Oh no, absolutely.
They're absolutely great story. Highly, highly recommend looking up because the donkey's a bro.
What?
Sorry.
I heard the donkey is a bro, and I immediately thought of Eddie
sorry.
Murphy.
So, total side tangent. The story of Hestia and the donkey. So there was a rager one night up in Olympus, and
I feel like a lot of really good stories start this way. Please
exactly.
continue.
And Hestia passed out.
All right.
And then the god, I cannot remember his name. He's the god of the penis.
Oh, Priapus.
Priapus, yes, thank you.
Of course, I know that one.
Of course. Was like, hey, you're looking good over top of that couch, and was going to go advance on her.
Oh, fuck no.
And then a donkey witnessed this and bleated as loud as it could and woke Hestia up.
And Hestia is specifically a virgin goddess, correct?
Yeah.
Virgin in the sense of owning herself and being
and
unmarried,
married.
not necessarily in the sense of never fucking.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That's an important distinction and thing that I'm not
that
aware
is
of.
something.
Sorry.
No.
absolutely.
The Virgin Goddess thing is
Virgin Goddess is a whole
thing.
fucking thing.
That is a conversation. Not tonight.
Nope.
And so she woke up and was like, "The fuck do you think you're doing?" And so she's just like, "Donkey, you are now one of my
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So the donkey is literally one of Hestia's sacred animals.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same vein as.
Peacocks and Hera.
Yep.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never heard that story.
I heard it for the first time 2 days ago.
Ooh, this is a really good question. Hang on. Elf Skinner asks,
Have
Boars
Boars
of
Underworld
Underworld connections been brought up yet? No,
No.
but they should. We should do that.
Yep.
How?
I'm not super familiar. Like I can pull some stuff down, but y'all have actual lore.
I know that there are certain colors of war that are associated with certain gods of death in ATR religions, ATR being African traditional religions. This particular piece of knowledge comes out of one of Dr. Sayuda's books that I listened on audiobook. I believe the Gede or Bron Samedi, one of his sacred animals is the boar. And the connection between the underworld also would make sense from a heathen perspective in regards to bloodlines, specifically because where Hlist Vini is, I believe, also mentioned is the Lay of Hindla, which is where Otar, one of her foremost servants, a man who served her so beautifully in life that
Her being Freya.
Sorry, thank you.
You're good.
So Hinla is a Jotun goddess who basically knows all the bloodlines. And Otar wanted to prove his heritage, but couldn't recite his ancestry. And so he went to Freya, and she turned him into a boar in order to get him into Jotunheim. So you could potentially see the connection there, but it's tenuous.
Mm-hmm.
Caradwen is associated with the white boar. I know there's a red obey somewhere in the stories.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's
beyond
I do
my
know-
expertise.
I do know for sure that there is at least one insular Celtic, specifically Irish Celtic goddess, who is known to one of her lines is that her mast being what boars eat in the woods, acorns, is the heads of warriors. And I forget which ones. I believe she is considered to be one of the sisters of on Morrigan, although that's very complicated, and I am certainly not.
On Morrigan in general, you say the word on Morrigan, and that's a complicated
Yeah.
statement.
She's actually one of the first goddesses.
There are experts for that.
Speaking of Kai, another person we've had on the show.
Right.
Yeah, no, that would be a.
But in the Book of Invasions, she's actually one of the first figures mentioned, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me.
Oh crap! You're right.
Yep.
Oh
I'll find it at some point. I'll put it in the Discord.
yeah.
It'll be fine.
I need to re-listen to that.
Yeah,
Point
that's been a
being
while.
is, to answer the question, have Boar's underworld connections been brought up yet? No, but the problem is that they're kind of tenuous. Like, I can directly point to black roosters in heathenry and go, yeah, there definitely is. And that's because there's a story of a black rooster having its neck snapped and then being thrown over the gates of Helheim and coming alive on the other side.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
That is a cool story.
Hell's a badass. But not as such. The thing with Freya, though, like if you take the Boar Association not too far, honestly, and you look at her as a goddess that is oriented around magic and Seidr, and that oriented, I mean, in the sense of she's from who Seidr flows because she taught it to Othin, and she's the one that brings it to the Aesir. You can definitely see the underworld connections.
You're missing the whole thing.
What now?
Folkvanger.
Oh, son of a bitch. Yeah, there is that.
I got it for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So, yeah, Folkvanger is a whole thing.
Yeah, so Freya is, for explanation's sake, so there's the whole thing of like Othin claiming the warrior dead, but it's actually only half the warrior dead, and it's actually the second.
He's not
the second
first.
half.
Yeah.
He doesn't get first pick.
Freya
So
does.
actually, if you look at the lore, Freya gets first pick of the warrior dead. And she takes them to her hall, to Folkvanger, which is literally the People's Field.
Yep. People's Field.
And there's some, we don't know a lot in the lore about what Folkvanger is. There's a lot of very, very good theories.
There's conjecture.
There's conjecture,
But-
there's UPG, but we don't actually know from the lore. I have my personal experiences and beliefs,
I have my own personal experiences and beliefs because Freya's fucking awesome.
and they overlap pretty well. But like,
very small.
They align very well.
Very nice.
Your and I,
yeah,
your and I experiences of Folkvanger align exceptionally well. So
Which is-
degree.
yeah, super surprising. But Freya, as a boar goddess, associated as being also both a psychopomp and a keeper of the dead,
Makes total sense.
like it's there. It's just not quite as.
It's not as down in front as, say, Othin and being the hanged god
Yeah,
and having Heti oriented around like help the Guth.
Yeah.
Like Freya's names don't evoke death and destruction unless you know what a fucking boar can do.
well, there is that.
I mean, in our modern view, Seer, which is a female pig, doesn't evoke anything besides bacon, cool.
Yeah.
Not that thing will eat my feet.
Well, and there is also Freyr as a boar god, and also being known as Lord of the Mound, being
Right.
a keeper of the dead as well.
Yeah.
Like the connections are absolutely there, but they're not perhaps as obvious as some of the others.
They're not as obvious because they're not literally coming down and saying it's the Lord of the Dead,
Yeah.
like with Odin.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about Freyr, and people are like, "Oh, he's just the party god." It's the same shit they do
Oh
with Dionysus.
God, yeah, no, don't get me fucking started on that. I have thoughts.
No, tell me, Jason, do
Oh.
you experience Dionysus, the party god?
No, I in fact have never had the luxury of experience Dionysus, the party
I'd
god.
apologize, but this was intentional.
Oh,
Absolutely.
So, to put it politely, the version of Dionysus that I have been blessed with interacting with has been Dionysos, Conqueror of the East. This goes into a lot of connotations, particularly around the time of Alexander
Not
the
getting
Great.
possessed.
Nope. I
Well, if I drank that, I was getting possessed.
Nah,
I'm
you're
not
cool.
doing that.
you're cool.
So no.
This is also like part of community is knowing your limitations and being able to swap and say, "Hey, I can't handle this right now."
Yeah, and also knowingly.
Really quick, boars are a good reminder that humans are not actually on top of the food chain. Yes.
Oh,
And by gods,
humans
are
are
so not.
humans.
The
We
only-
are.
I think tool use is probably tool use and the ability to think into the future. That's about it.
And even that's not unique to us. We just like to think it is.
I mean, it's not unique to us. What's really, I think, honestly, Right.
Are the big ones. Dolphins are debatably smarter than us. Octopi.
Some apes are being shown.
Honestly, most cephalopods.
Most cephalopods, most of at least the greater apes, a
Corvid.
bunch of the corvids.
They're actually shown that in some areas of the country, they're actually into Stone Age tool use now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Also,
we are
really,
crunchy and go good with pet shop. Hey, fittingly, we are long pork.
Yep, long pig. Also, a significant number of the lupus family has at least future prediction stuff and counting, which is a significant thing that we thought was only
hilariously also counting. Full-grown steers.
What?
Steers are aware if you take away a female.
Oh, they can count. Neat.
Huh.
Yeah, they get real mad.
Neat.
Which is also why you separate out a steer before you bring all the ladies away for whatever you need to do. Also, don't get in the way of the steer. They're all cute, cuddly, and then you remember the rodeo.
So speaking of Dionysus, I'm only kind of half joking because the bull is one of his primary symbols.
It is the primary symbol that I get them as. Torokonos is a epithet of Dionysus and is one that I use.
The roarer is one of his epithets, I believe.
The roar is directly. The roar is one of them that I personally use a lot. I don't know the direct verbiage.
I can't recall the Greek, but I know.
I also cannot recall the Greek. The three epithets I tend to use for Dionysus are Thorokros, Nanaigis, and Zagreus.
Legit.
Which translated are the horned
one. The horned one, Ye of the Black Fur, and Zagreus is just a lot.
So, if I'm recalling correctly, Zagreus was a specific kind of hunter who would capture wild animals and bring them in alive.
That is the translation. Yeah, okay. The translation is animal love.
So back to boar.
Translation with animal love. And Zagreus is a whole thing, and if I get started on it, I will actually start crying.
Which is legit.
And I don't think we have time for that because we are actually just over now.
We are almost at time.
Yeah, no. So Dionysus. Yeah. By the way, party god Dionysus. Literally the slimmest, latest portion of them. It is how the Romans took them to make it somewhat palatable. That's it.
It became Bacchus. So it's worth pointing out that part of the reason the Romans wanted that is because Dionysus is incredibly politically inconvenient.
Yes, and in fact, a lot of Bacchic traditions were straight up outlawed in the Roman Empire, well before the Christianity even happened.
It's also worth pointing out that a lot of in a similar vein, not directly, but in a similar vein, a lot of the ways that the practitioners of Seither were outlawed or were denigrated as ergi or argar, which are specific terms which don't translate very well, but basically it's coward or the recipient sexual partner is often how it's translated nowadays, but there's layers on layers on layers there, and a lot of it's Christian, turns out.
Yeah.
Although not all of it.
Not all of it, but a lot of it.
There's also stuff like with Bachism is also Tarantism, which is a very fun way of, yes, this is a Bach tradition. We are solving spider bites.
Tarantism being a specific Catholic tradition.
A specific Catholic tradition very heavily associated with Dionysus.
Saint Paul or John? Paul. St. Paul and Tarantism. Excellent. If you really want to learn about it, look up St. Paul and Tarantism.
Southern Italy.
Southern Italy.
So St. Paul being one of the inheritors of Dionysus?
Yes.
Very much so.
Depending on who you ask.
Is Dionysus.
I said inheritor specifically because I know that's complicated.
Kind of in the similar fashion to Saint Canute
who is
Odin.
Yeah.
And Saint Cuthbert, I want to say. And also Saint Olaf and Odin or Thor, depending on how you.
Yeah, I was gonna say not Canute. Cuthbert's got a club, so he's a thunder. So it's probably Thor. Or a cognate, not necessarily Thor, but a cognate.
Right.
All these are.
I mean, well, Saint Benjamin had two fucking ravens that would bring him information. You tell me.
Yeah. And I know Freyr also had a number of saints who.
Yeah, he did, but none of them spring to mind.
Cultural blending and appropriateness.
That's fine.
It's
Well,
possible. It hasn't been going.
I mean,
forever.
how do we keep our gods alive in the midst of Christianization?
I mean, Saint Brigid.
Mhm.
Classic.
Who's literally it's Brigid. It's Brigid the goddess who just became a saint because it's a thing. And it's actually, speaking of ATRs, is significant
Maman
portion.
Brigitte.
Yep, Maman Brigitte. Whether or not those are the same spirit, I can't fucking tell you.
That's the thing. Like, I think that having a multifaceted view of the gods is as important as having a multifaceted view of your community. And they play in together, because if you have a multifaceted view of your community, like a worldview that says community can be many things. We can, for instance, you have brought many loaves of bread for the celebration tonight. We can be many things that are called bread, but that fucking pumpernickel is definitely not that white bread or that bread with the covering on it. So I think that
delicious pumpkin.
absolutely. But I think that, kind of bringing it back to the theme tonight of Three Pagans and a Pig Roast is we are all coming from different corners. We all have things to add to the roast in front of us. Sometimes we're roasting each other, and sometimes we're roasting a pig, and it's all in good fun and it's all in good love. But I think really that at the end of the day, we're all bringing our different expertise, our own different life experiences to bear in a way that makes the community much better off at the end of the night. And I am really appreciative for the community that we've brought together here. And just got here and came in on Multifaceted Gods and Multifaceted Videos Community. So good timing, huh? Yes, Snow, it is absolutely great timing. And I really appreciate you, Snow. So please go back and watch this, because we're pretty much at the end of our time.
Yeah. One thing I did want to throw on just real quick is that there is the concept of gods taking on aspects of other gods. So in particular, the example that I know best is from Norse myth of Loki
taking on Freya's cloak.
And borrowing from Neoplatonism, which I really don't like Neoplatonism, but that's not the point.
There's a concept in there that really works here.
Exactly. And it's Loki behaving as Freya, Loki becoming Freya.
Well, Freya is quintessentially Freya.
Loki,
there is Freya within Loki.
Exactly. And it's Loki acting
Thank
as
you, Dr. Butler.
Right. Who's also problematic in a lot of ways, but that's beside the point.
That's really beside the point.
But yeah, so Loki takes the Falcon Cloak and becomes Freya for the purpose of the myth, at least in that one aspect for that one point in time. And then he gives back the Falcon Cloak and becomes just Loki again. And that it's really complicated from a theological perspective, but it's also kind of really important that the gods they're multifaceted. They can be each other in a very real sense. And that's fine.
And it's not even necessarily borrowing; it is becoming.
Yeah,
right.
Because there's a difference between, well, I'm just gonna become this thing for just a little bit. No. When you put on that falcon cloak, you become a falcon.
Yeah. And it's
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, no. Finish your point.
I was gonna say, like, in the sense of ritual possession, which is a thing in a lot of traditions. Speaking of ATR traditions. But also it's a thing in a lot of heathen traditions as well. For that moment, you are speaking as that god. You are speaking as that spirit. Is there a lot of layers of discernment and everything else?
Gods, yes.
Yes, and please be discerning. But for that moment, you are that god.
Well, not even but. And because like your community has to be willing to put you to account if they're seeing too much of you in the god. And they also have to be willing to take hard lessons on the chin if that's what the god's handing out, and they are genuine messages as opposed to somebody's ego speaking.
Which again, discernment
is very important. I guess from the more Hellenistic point of view, this is very common. People swapping roles. I mean, simply look at what the heck it's like. Who's the sun god in Hellenistic traditions? Depending on who you ask, and depending on what era they're looking at, and depending on whose interpretation, it can be 4 different things.
At least. Yeah.
At least. And that is not including the dawn and the dusk, which are separate entities.
Honestly, that's something that I really appreciate about heathenry, is that we have Suna and Mani, sun and moon, and then there's like dawn or daylight, which is day.
It's not, though, because there is also
Sol.
Sol.
That's true.
Who
There's
is
Sol.
also a heathen god, and also Freyr is god of the sunshine.
Sunshine. Yeah, that's true.
And there's also such as deities, particularly these are referred to as precursors, proto-titans, or just titans, just not the main six. And these are the one that yeah.
Sorry, I've watched way too much My Little Pony.
Oh,
My daughter, main six, brain.
Also Melkor, yes. Yes,
Saul and Mena. Yep, and
We're doing the Midwestern goodbye and pagan variant.
Yep,
Legit.
I mean, yeah.
We are literally.
My hands on the fucking doorknob. Chill.
Yeah, we're working on it. But for the one that I work with is the goddess Ananke, who is primordial. And they actually, over time, got split into two separate entities. One of them was Eros.
So you're telling me these gods are complicated.
Horrendously. And then was kind of floated around as like a nebulous thing. Most of the time was Ananke, most of the time was something else. And then eventually, as soon as it was Romanized, they become Necessitas. Which is necessity. The goddess of necessity is Ananke flipped over, and this is basically a deity that was not quite forgotten, but not really quite worshipped for close to like 400 years before Romanization happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sarah, tell me the difference between Sky and Howl. You'll fucking chance out. Don't do that.
I'm not complaining, just making an observation. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're a fucking douche canoe.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, but no, that's a really good point. Like, what is the difference between like Freyr being a god of sunlight versus Suna being a goddess who takes the sun around the world? I mean, there's borrowing of attributes. There's ways that they play into each other. And again, bringing this back to the center of the conversation we've had here, who is the butcher? Who is the cook? Well, whoever's doing the work at that particular moment.
Mm-hmm. And what's the difference between Inti Taita, Sol,
Suna,
Saul, Helios,
etc.
Apollo. That's six.
Who am I
gods.
worshipping at that moment?
Exactly. That's 6 sun gods right off the top of my head.
I think honestly, like some of this shit just comes down to who am I relating to?
Yeah.
And in what context?
Yep.
Because is Inti Taita Helios? Potentially, but do I know Inti Taita? Not really. Do I know Helios? Not really. I know Suna. I know Sol. And those are who I worship.
Yeah. And is Sol Invictus, or is Sol separate from Sol Invictus, or are they the same person in different? Fucking, I don't know, dude.
It's complex.
Yeah, it's complex, and it's okay, and
it's okay
good
not to have all the answers.
And honestly, I think it's good that it's complex.
Exactly. It's almost like divinity is weird and complicated.
Yo, heathens, the sun itself, and/or the god of the sun. And that's the thing. Like when you come down to like who is the most Saturnian of gods in heathen culture that you can point to, it's definitely Mundulfari. But he doesn't have the same kind of role. He's only comparable in the terms of he spawned the children that eventually set time, because the gods said, hey, y'all got to calm the fuck down. We got to be able to keep time somehow.
And that's only if you're looking at that particular aspect of Saturn, because Saturn is a complicated fucking god.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like we could go on and on and on. The point being is that us three pagans around a pig roast, each of us are bringing our own perspectives, our own understandings, and our own background and understanding expertise to all these different gods and to all these different ancestors and to all these different spirits. And none of us are, I think, 100% right.
Oh,
absolutely.
There's definitely ways that all of us can tell, that ain't it.
Yep, right. Absolutely. And that's okay.
But I think what we share in common is a respect for each other's expertise and respect for each other's understanding around this sacred fire, around this sacred meal, that each of us has something to contribute and something to bring to understanding.
And just because none of us is 100% right doesn't mean that we're wrong. Like that's
exactly it.
That's the thing. It's like my understanding, right? The edges between Tenger and Sky and any other sky deity are blurry as hell. That doesn't mean that my understanding of Sky is wrong.
No,
they bleed into each other. It's fine.
Are the winds blown by Hreisvelker, or are they the four winds of classic Hellenism? I I don't see a really big need to have that much import on ultimate truth with a capital T because I'm not a fucking Christian.
Ultimate truth is honestly a lie. It's like genuine.
Right.
Okay, so speaking philosophically and logically, ultimate truth is just flat out
Bullshit.
not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing that can exist.
Point being is that truths can exist simultaneously with each other.
Absolutely.
We can get all the winsome Reisfelger, and we can have the 4 wins.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's one of the beauties of politics is that it's an and.
It's an and, not a
Honestly,
but or an or.
I would.
I mean, Greek. This is a really fucking good point.
So for our speakers or listeners who can't read, Greeks and Romans have the head start on surviving records, demonstrating how multifaceted gods are, whereas us Germanic types have to pull that together on the point of Saturn's complexity.
Very, very excellent point, and very true.
And very true. And let me tell you, for what exists,
it still ain't shit.
It still ain't shit. There's a lot of stuff found, even as like again, I practice Bacchic Orphism.
Right.
95% of what I comes from tablets found in graves or papyrus found in people's mouths in graves.
The dead are literally speaking to you.
Yeah, the dead are literally speaking.
Tell me, Jason, do you wish that was all written down?
Well, of course. Wouldn't it be great if it was all in one place?
Yeah.
It's somewhere. Also, a timestamp on when these people were buried.
I exclusively make good points. It's okay. You're welcome. I mean, it's fun.
So you're the best.
I mean, this is also where I really appreciate community in general, both gathering around a proverbial fire and gathering around literal fire to cook our food.
Indeed.
Is we can actually share these ideas, and we can actually bring these points of comparison together in contexts we might not otherwise, because either we're too straight-laced or too wrapped up in our everyday.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the power of ritual really comes into play, where the power of community really comes into play. So I really appreciate all of you out there sharing your time and your energy and your space with us. And we hope that you've enjoyed your time with us around the Big Roast.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
All right. With that, we are going to call it a night. For those who are on our Discord, which if you're not, please join our Discord.
Please do.
And we will see y'all next time. And we'll see those in the Discord for the after party. Start if you want to send us away.
All right. Let's go.
Good night, folks.
Good night. It's been very good hanging out with you too.